Okay. I suppose. I suppose I'm streaming. Okay. Well, good. Hey, hey. What can I say? It's my first streaming here in this platform, and well, it's kind of awkward to see the two panels, the one in YouTube and the one on OBS because I'm using OBS. So I'm just gonna shut OBS, no YouTube, the YouTube panel down. I'm just gonna keep the okay. Okay, well, good. This is the chat.
Inglese significa bene.
I don't know what just happened. Anyways, the content of this live would be random stuff. Random stuff, to be honest. Okay, let's put the chat over here. I don't know, it's totally brand new for me. Let's modify this. Let's see if we can put the chat over here or over here. Okay, whatever. Good, whatever. So, the content today will be a reading. Not just a casual reading, a philosophy reading. Oh wow. Everybody's gonna lose their mind, I know. But honestly, I am kinda in a hopeless time of my life, so I guess that recording myself while I am reading a philosophy book might help me out. So here we go. So the book is called Freedom, a Disease Without Cure, from Slavoj Zizek, and I really like it. I think that Zizek is a very good philosopher. You know what? Defining a philosopher very good doesn't actually relate me to the word of philosophy too much, because you would expect me to give a good definition of whatever the fuck he is, but I seriously don't know. I've been studying philosophy on my own, reading authors and creating an opinion which is not exactly rigorous. You know, I wouldn't use necessarily terms that are accurate in describing this book. Anyways, I would say hello to the chat, just because I don't know how things are done here, honestly. Hello guys, welcome y'all. Welcome. Anyways, as you can note, English is not my native language. I'm Italian, but this book is in English, so I will read it in English. I will comment it in English. I would make some notes in English always. Also, hello guys, welcome all to my stream. Yes, I am suspension points, by the way. Suspension points. So, let's see what is actually happening here. Honestly, I'm curious, because I'm very curious. Perfect. Nobody is watching. Nothing new. Let's read. Let's fucking read. Anyways, this kind of books are You know, you would expect from a book to be from a 300 to 250 pages book to be relatively easy reading. But I mean, it's not at all. Like, I feel honestly that in order to read this book accurately, like with some kind of awareness, um, I need to take notes. I need to, just uh, have um, need more time. Need more time. So actually, this is not. We're not going to read the first chapter because I've already skipped through it. I've already taken notes of it. Actually, no, no. But it's boring. For me, it's boring. Honestly, no. I would just start from where I was reading. So basically, just to give you an insight into this, this chapter was about the, how to call it, the relationship between determinism and freedom and its varieties in its conceptions. So just to give you a brief overview. Well, I just want to feel accomplished, just doing something into this nothingness I'm into right now will already be something to be proud of. So I will just. So, determinism and its vagaries. So, an introduction is this one. This is the title. By the way, I'm not reading from a book. I'm reading from Kindle. So this is interesting because I think that reading from a book will give me a better aura or whatever they call it nowadays. Actually, I'm gonna have a library of Kindles, and when I'm proudly showing it to a chick, she will just look me weirdly as if I'm some kind of alien. That's another reason why I think books will never die, because paper, it's cool, you see a title, you see a library full of books, you just make immediately an identity of the person who's owning those books, From Kindle you just see just this kind of thing, like it's really thin, it's nothing. Really minimalistic. Like my house, as you can see from this blank wall behind me, and there, the clothes hanging to dry. So here the introduction is that it starts with the indeterminacy of nature discovered by quantum mechanics. As we all know, quantum mechanics is a realm in which the dimension of not causality or causality. Yes, causality is introduced apparently, because quantum mechanics, it's a field in which before the measurement, the function wave is just something, an absence into the void, which eventually collapses once the measurement is made. So, decision on what to measure, this free choice, exactly. With regard to quantum mechanics, freedom does not reside in decision on what to measure. Exactly, it's not a decision accounted in quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics itself exists beyond the decision of measuring it. Once we measure it, we are left with the conception of determinism, an loop, an apparent loop which we cannot avoid because no matter how we try to track down the path of the waves or the supposed particle which is inside of the wave, still we're not gonna be able to make a path of this wave and a path of this eventual particle which is being measured. Okay, who claim the only adequate way to resolve is to assert the general interrelatedness of reality. The measuring process is part of the same reality as the measured phenomena. Freedom is a user's illusion combined with determinist. I do what I will, but I will is determined. If freedom doesn't contradict natural laws, what remains of freedom? Exactly. How do we compute this freedom inside of our daily life? You know, what I find fascinating about these books is to find a key into our daily life matters. I don't know. It's just interesting, you know, because when you read, if freedom doesn't contradict natural laws, what remains of freedom? How do you compute that into your daily life experiences? It may appear that there is a genuine contingency at a lower level of natural processes, and our free decisions make a choice in the space of this contingency. So contingency means actually something determined in somehow, some way by the case, by a selection which is not already determined, and the option, the point of view which is giving us in this paragraph relates exactly to that. At a lower level, not a high level, at a lower level of the development of reality. But it does not explain how this freedom, and our freedom makes a choice in the space of contingency. Although it does not explain how this freedom, which is a free determination, not a contingency, arises in nature. Crucial here is the interdependence of man and nature. By reducing man to just another natural object whose properties can be manipulated, what we lose is not only humanity but nature itself. So here this is an interesting part of this chapter, because it's basically stating that over-analyzing determinism may lead to mankind demise. Yes, because we will see it now. There is man only insofar as there is impenetrable in human nature. This prospect, so manipulating determinism into our own will change the cards on the table, relating our position into nature. This prospect effectively emancipates humankind from the constraints of a finite species. At a price, of course. I mean, genetic technology, modifying our genetic heritage even before we are conceived, is something that, it's a challenging matter nowadays. I don't know whether we will arrive to that point, to the point of changing ourselves before being ourselves, but still it's a hot topic, how to call it. So what is the price? Changes in our genetical ethical change. So the price is changes our generic ethical self-understanding and can disturb the necessary conditions for an autonomous way of life and universalistic understanding of morals. So, how do we react to this threat? Zizek answers, well, we just simply curtail science. Actually, we are used to seeing science in a way deeply related with our progress. I mean, science cannot, I would say, no, progress cannot live without our science. But in this case, in order to protect our nature, in order to be a part of nature and to not face the catastrophe, which is a catastrophe, honestly, because whenever we transcend our genetic heritage and we manipulate it and we take control of it, we are left on our own. We do not longer account with the realm of nature. We will face ethical challenges which we will maybe not be able to handle. So the answer of Zizek is kind of practical, pragmatic. We curtail science. We set boundaries over which we impose ourselves not to cross. I don't know whether that was grammatically correct, but still, we are into it. We should also consider the opposite split. So this is the first split, curtailing science with this is a fetishist split, because we know why we are curtailing science and we still do it. This is something related to the previous chapter in which Zizek was describing the mechanism of modern ideology. So in the past, ideology was symptomatic. So basically, whenever symptomatic in the sense that whenever you had it was treated like a illness. So whenever somebody found whatever was wrong with you and told you that information brought into your awareness would cure you, would walk you away from that symptom. But with capitalism, it's much more different, because ideology of capitalism is fetishist, which doesn't work like a symptom. It works like including the awareness of being healed into the ideology. So it's much more difficult to get rid of it and to open your eyes to whatever truth you're looking to discover, because you act as if I know very well what is my problem, but nonetheless I still act in such a way. So the fetishism is not exactly this sentence, but it's the awareness behind this sentence. So you are aware of doing such a thing. So this is the ideology of capitalism, I guess. I mean, from my understanding, it's as if like whenever people are telling, like, I don't know whether in your experience you've had some people, like you're on a date and he or she or it, we are non-binary friendly here, tells you, well, I'm a hassle, and that sentence strikes you not in the sense that you are pushed away from that person, but you're actually attracted even more, because like, why is that person telling you that he or she is an asshole? Is there any meaning behind that? Are you more beyond that being an asshole? It's not. You're just not. There's nothing beyond that. This is how ideology works. Basically, you are saying it out loud, but nonetheless, you're not doing anything. There is nothing beyond that being an asshole. You should ask that person who's explicitly telling you explicitly telling you that she or he is an asshole, telling you, why are you telling me that you are an asshole? If you are an asshole. If you are an asshole, why are you telling me that you are an asshole? So, anyways, let's get back into it. Humanity as collective subject has to put a limit and freely renounce to further progress in this direction. Interesting. Germline manipulation, so genetic manipulation, lie on the other side beyond what has a meaning. Actually, yes, it's true. I agree, honestly, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't be feeling comfortable in a society in which we genetically manipulate, how to say, people, yeah, even before they are born. I mean, that's crazy shit, honestly. I don't agree with that. But anyways, that in this part there is an important term. That's a very interesting term. Zizek takes. So, turning individual into products, preventing them from experiencing themselves as responsible agents. So we are refusing the prospect of a man-made determinism. Okay, we are refusing that. To embrace what exactly? To embrace freedom? Like, are we exactly deciding? Are we exactly deciding? So what, like, who are we leaving the choice to? If we're not embracing man-made determinism, who are we leaving the choice to? Well, we're leaving choice to the chance. Yes? But chance, as Zizek states here, chance or ignorance is not freedom, because we just don't know how a baby will turn out. We're ignorant about it. We may have an idea, roughly speaking, knowing the genetic heritage of parents, but we're just ignorant about how he or she or it are going to turn to be in reality. So ignorance is not freedom. This is interesting. I think this is the core of Zizek dialectical philosophy. If we don't manipulate preborn baby's gene, it is chance and not freedom that decides. Freedom is not just user's illusion, is the freedom of appearance itself with regard to its natural base ground. Out of a basic level, higher levels spontaneously emerge, each with its own immanent structure and causality. Within Marxism, this vision was elaborated by George Lucas in his late Ontology of Social Being. In human labor, so for Lucas, freedom is the definition of labor is the definition of freedom. In human labor, nature overcomes itself, its determinism, since natural processes become moments of the process of the material realization of human goals. Yeah, well, fair enough. I mean, teleology linked with labor, it's common in Marxism, philosophical views. Teleology, by the way, it's the, how to say, is the way of interpreting reality by its means and not its causes. Yeah. Lucas, as a materialist, sees social labor as a domain which remains a small part of nature and arises spontaneously out of biological processes. The dilemma here is the relative autonomy of higher spheres an actual fact of nature? So, is this higher configurations within nature belong to nature? Or is it just a simplification that pertains to the limitation of our description of reality? So are we just delusional? Are we just seeing these phenomena as actually related with the notion of freedom, but indeed they are yet another characteristic of nature's determinism? I don't know whether some people are looking. What? Let's see. 25 minutes. Okay. Let's see. Looking. Hey? What? Let's see. 20. Oh, man. Okay. Fine. And here it explains the vision of Daniel Dennett's conception of freedom with the design stance, what's so called. The design stance is some kind of interpretation of higher spheres phenomena, which are given by Dennett's an autonomous developing process. So this is the example. Nah, rewriting the past. This is interesting, but I want to read honestly. I mean, I'm not here to explain you the what I've read before. I'm here to just do my business and explain if something is interesting. Beyond the Trascendental. Questo l'ho letto. I have already read this. I'm sorry, I was speaking Italian. Yes, the interpellational 233. This path is this is wonderful. This is very wonderful. Beyond the transcendent. But can we simply oppose symbolic retroactivity and external reality, which stupidly is at it, or as Lacan condenses, c'est comme ça? We should bear in mind that reality is never given to us directly, but always within a certain symbolic frame. And this holds also for any scientific approach to reality. Yes, we have a symbolic frame to give characteristics to reality. Symbols are what direct us into our experience and into our life. What this means is that our self-perception as free and responsible agent is not just a necessary illusion, but the a priori of every scientific knowledge. I mean, we have to think ourselves as free, in order to discover, in order to know, in order to live, basically, to exist. However determinist the content of this knowledge is. So when Sabine Ostenfelder dismisses free will as non-scientific nonsense, she misses the point of her critics, the point nicely formulated in Michael Egner's theologically inclined critique. Well, Ostenfelder is wrong to deny the reality of free will. I think her critique of physicists who deny superdeterminism because it denies free will as salience. Okay, no, it's wrong to deny reality. I think her critique of physicists who deny superdeterminism because it denies free will has salience, so it acknowledges the importance. But the denial of free will is self-refuting regardless of the issues in theoretical physics. Free will is a precondition for all science, all reasoning, and all claims to know the truth. As noted above, if free will is not real, then all of our actions, including our investigation of reality, are determined by the laws of nature, which in themselves are not proposition and have no truth value. To deny free will is to assert it, and to deny free will is to assert it exactly. Well, I mean, it's paradoxical, but if I'm saying I'm not free, I am freedomly saying that I'm not free. Interesting. And any denial of free will on any basis whatsoever is nonsensical. If we lack free will, we have no justification whatsoever to believe that we lack free will. We are dealing here with a case of what is usually referred to a pragmatic contradiction. The very practice of scientific community addresses us as free-thinking beings who could be convinced by arguments. Even the most positivist and reductionist science is in itself a normative activity. It tries to make us accept facts as truth, and when we convince someone that he has no free will, what is he saying is, okay, you convince me, I'm feeling a bit, I have no free will. So this is what I was saying before. Our approach to reality always has to rely on some transcendental horizon. Transcendental is the philosopher's technical term for a frame which defines the coordinates of reality. So transcendental, this is beyond the limit of our symbolic frame. For example, the transcendental approach makes us aware that for a scientific naturalist, so it relates to different approach towards reality, only spatio-temporal material phenomena regulated by natural law really exist. So there is beyond that is the transcendental. While for a pre-modern traditionalist, spirits and meaning are also part of reality. Not only our human projections. Well, he made a point. This is making a point rewriting the transcendental, the notion of transcendentalism. Interesting. Okay. The symbolic universe in which we dwell is transcendental. It is not an object in the world, since it provides the very frame of how we approach objects. So it implies that it can be reshaped. So this the transcendental action from our symbolic universe affects our symbolic frame. So whenever we change it, it changes. So it's basically as if like this is our symbolic frame. This is our symbolic frame. No, this is our symbolic universe outside of our experienced reality that we use. This is our symbolic frame inside. So whenever the symbolic universe changes, it's as if it leaks beyond this barrier and inside of our symbolic frame. So because is affected. The symbolic universe in which we dwell is transcendental. It is not an object. It is not an object, but it provides very frame of how we approach objects. This is what the object-oriented ontology gets wrong when it points out that subject is not the center of the world, but just one among the objects in the world, which is why it cannot transcendentally constitute the entirety of reality. Wow, that's a lot of words for a single sentence. So let's read it back again. This is what the object-oriented ontology gets wrong when it points out that the subject is not the center of the world, but just one among the objects of the world. Which is why, because it's an object of the world, it cannot transcendentally constitute the entirety of reality. Transcendentally. It's interesting. It's interesting, actually, this concept. I mean, this object-oriented ontology, for me, it seems to say that we are not creating the reality we are living in. It just exists regardless of us. Because, I mean, here we cannot transcendentally constitute the entirety of reality. It means that we are beyond that frame. We are beyond that frame, and therefore we could be able to shape reality, like by the observation. But let's see what he says afterwards. I mean, it makes sense. This for me, this object-oriented ontology. But Zizek is saying that it gets wrong. As it is clear already in Kant, transcendental names a fundamental limitation of our approach to the reality. It is precisely because we are one of the objects within the world that we cannot observe reality objectively. So that is to say that our approach to reality is constrained by our particular standpoint. Well, I don't understand in this passage where exactly Zizek is opposing this ontology, to be honest, to be brutally honest, guys. I mean, this object-oriented ontology starts, saying the same thing. Maybe it's correcting. It's transcendentally constitute the entirety of real. Well, I think that Zizek is opposing the way transcendentally is being used in that following passage. I don't know. Probably. Probably is doing that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Sorry, guys, I was just distracted. WhatsApp group message. Anyways, yeah, whatever. In this sense, there is nothing outside the symbolic matrix, since we cannot step out of ourselves. We cannot, as it there stands, we as it were. Transcendental does not signal a superiority of subject, but precisely its limitation. Ah, yes, exactly. Yes, yes. Basically, saying this. It's opposing the way transcendental is being used. Trascendentale. Let's wait a second because I need socks. Yes, good socks. Socks are good. So warm. I must thank my mother for buying me these socks. I almost very grateful. Because before I had those little socks that are unsuitable for surviving winter. You know? Yeah. That's it. That's basically it. So I wanna see. I wanna see some things. Well, yes. Okay. Exactly. Transcendental does not signal superiority of subject. But its limitation. Everything we experience, interact with, appears within an horizon of meaning or symbolic space into which we are thrown, as Heidegger would have put it. When Heidegger characterizes a human being as being in the world, this does not mean that we are an object in the world. It means that because of our limitation, we cannot ever fully objectivize ourselves. So we cannot actually understand objectively who we are, what we are. We cannot perceive and analyze ourselves. Hey, what? My Kindle. We cannot ever fully self-objectify. We cannot perceive and analyze ourselves as just another object in the world, precisely because we are always already in the world. Exactly. So we are, the subjectivity of our position is what actually prevents us to understand ourselves. And this is interesting because, you know, we are defining our humanity on mostly subjective parameters rather than, I mean, we have objective parameters of humanity, but are they truly relevant? Like, I mean, we have objective parameters of reality, of human values, of our nature, in contrast with tendencies and what to call them, behaviors, which are apparently opposite to those, as if our goods and our bads basically level themselves out of the equation, which indeed does not make our understanding more, the understanding of ourselves, it doesn't make it moral. I think it makes it just simply as it is. I mean, understanding of what we are and what we do. I mean, yeah, whatever. Does this mean that the symbolic universe, as the transcendental horizon that regulates our approach to reality, is our ultimate point of reference? Something behind or beneath which we cannot reach? It's interesting. I mean, mm, well, yes, I mean, yes, but I think, in my opinion, it's constantly updating itself, you know? Like, whenever, as the more we change, the more we keep existing, the more we reinvent language, behaviors, facts. So, I mean, it's something changing with ourselves. What eludes reality is the real in the Lacanian sense. Now it brings Lacan and it's over for everybody. I'm out of this room. I would not keep reading this book anymore. Something that resists symbolization, which is transcendental. Beyond the transcendental, there is nothing. No, I don't know whether to call it nothingness, because nothingness, it's a symbolic into our symbolic frame, a symbolic universe, but there is not any conceptualization. Yes, there is no human conceptualization beyond. It still has to be created, so maybe it's potential. So maybe there are some things that are in the symbolic universe that are just waiting to be dragged in that line. It's interesting. Virtual words are not second-class words, exactly. We can live a meaningful life in virtual reality. We may even be in a virtual world already. Okay, well, this is a hard take. He's giving with no context whatsoever. But it's interesting. I mean, this is the simulation hypothesis. It's always fascinating. But well, how can I say it? It's an hypothesis for an hypothesis' sake. We are not how to say, we are not adding anything to the equation, in my opinion, because if we are already in a simulation, we just live in it, whatever. Who gives a damn about we are living in a simulation? So, like, how do you compute that to our practical reality? No, you cannot. Because, and honestly, living, like, having this awareness wouldn't make you crazy, like wouldn't push you outside of this simulation more. Or maybe it's a simulation which encompasses every, like, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. David Chalmers argues that virtual reality is genuine reality. Okay, the difference between ordinary real reality and virtual reality is secondary and will gradually, with the further development of digital media, becoming irrelevant, since humans will be able to pass from one to another reality, each offering a space into which we will be able to totally immerse. While I accept that our access to real reality is always already virtually mediated by some symbolic network, yes, I don't think this is simple multiplication of realities works. What makes real reality different from virtual reality is not that it is in itself more real, but it is traversed by an immanent possibility, that it stumbles upon something that eludes it. An immanent impossibility. Which is death, or life, or limitations. Upon that it stumbles, an immanent impossibility that it stumbles upon something that eludes it, while digital virtual realities are constrained only by the immanent rules of their construction. I propose is I propose here to read Chalmers' title Reality Plus. In the same way, one should read LGBT plus. So REALITY plus. It's just plus as stand in for the missing positions like others, or can one be directly a plus? The properly dialectical answer is yes. The subject is inscribed into a series of identification. No. The properly dialectical answer is yes. The subject is inscribed into a series of its possible identity precisely as a plus, as an excess that eludes every identification. What this means is that a subject is a plus and simultaneously a minus, a lack in the signifying chain. It is the excess itself which functions as a lack. And the same goes for reality. There are not simply many realities, but many realities plus. This excess is inscribed into real reality as minus, as its constitutive lack. However, the fact that a hermeneutic horizon through which we approach reality cannot be reduced to or explained by this reality does not imply that we are free to choose this horizon. One of the most basic levels we are thrown into this horizon on the most basic level we are thrown into this horizon. This horizon always ready here determining how we perceive reality. So again, our highest freedom, independence with regard to factual reality, coincides with our destiny. The passage from the traditional view of reality and the modern scientific view of reality just happened as what Heidegger calls an event. It did not arise as the free choice of an agent, but is here as our fate. Insofar as event remains the ultimate dimension of freedom, we should note here that Heidegger disconnects freedom and will. Freedom at its highest is not an affair of our free will. Is then this horizon the unsurpassable fact of our lives? Psychoanalysis shows the way beyond. Here Heidegger misses the point when in his Zolli-Kohner seminar he dismisses Freud as a causal determinist. He postulates for the conscious human phenomena that they can be explained without gaps. So that is to say, the continuity of causal connections. Since there are no such connections in the consciousness, he has to invent the unconscious, in which there have to be the causal links without the gaps. This interpretation may appear correct. It is not that Freud tries to discover causal order in what appears to our consciousness as a confused and contingent array of mental facts, slips of tongue, dreams, clinical symptoms, and in this way to close the chain of causal links that run our psyche. Is the whole point of free association in the analytic treatment not to prove that they are not free, but no, basta, cioè, ho rotto i coglioni, termino la diretta e mi sono rotto il cazzo. I finished for this. It's almost unreadable. Unreadable. I will read it on my own and then I will give you my own explanation when I finish.